Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Tigist. I'm a science educator, writer, and consultant. I'm here today doing what I love to do because of family and community. As a Black Canadian woman educator, I want to co-create more stories of Black excellence in STEM. I know acutely that setting high expectations for all our Black students is a way to show love for learners who've been least embraced by the school system. Part of my privilege and power as an educator, particularly of the sciences, is to serve my community. I sense you too are here to be a transformative change agent. I hope the next 10 minutes in our journey together will be a catalyst for reimagining the future of Black students who are entrusted in your care. In this short video, we will explore how we can increase our knowledge and skills regarding inclusive educational practices in the service of Black students. As we continue to interrogate our values, beliefs, stereotypes, and biases as to who can be a STEM student, reflect on these questions. In your classroom, do all Black students see themselves as a scientist, a technologist, an engineer, and a mathematician? Are there mirrors in your lesson that allow Black students to see their multiple social identities, abilities, and lived experiences in relation to STEM? Are there windows in your lesson that allow other learners to see Black brilliance and Black joy as it exists in STEM? We need to disrupt deficit narratives of what Black students can do. Gloria Ladson-Billings, a pedagogical theorist and teacher educator, tells us there's an educational debt that is owed to Black students. Paying down this debt will be at the heart of our efforts. How do we begin to address this debt? Consider this hypothesis. If we have robust inquiry-based learning programs that are driven by culturally relevant and responsive pedagogy, then more Black students will be engaged and stay in the fields of STEM because they will develop positive identities as STEM learners. As we go forward, reflect on to what extent does this hypothesis challenge or confirm your existing ideologies, values, and beliefs. Where do we start? We will first examine what conditions the research shows must be present for Black students to thrive in STEM studies. In search of pedagogical models that center identity, agency, and power, we must also consider what Archer, Dewitt, and Osborne frame as the intersection of inequalities that race, ethnicity, gender, and social class pose for Black students. Black girls, for example, face race-based and gender-based barriers as they pursue STEM. One powerful model is Gloria Ladson-Billings' culturally relevant pedagogy, which has 3 central tenets. Let's consider them as questions so we can reflect about our pedagogical practice. 1. Do you have high expectations for all your students? 2. Are you developing the cultural competence of your students? 3. Are students provided opportunities to develop their critical consciousness? Another important pedagogical framework is Gay's culturally responsive pedagogy. This framework approaches a student's multiple social identity from asset-based perspectives. Black students' backgrounds, linguistic diversity, social and cultural identities are used to build their STEM efficacy, STEM identity, and STEM career aspirations. Data shows we will improve STEM cultural competence and increase student STEM achievement if we use inquiry-based instruction supported by culturally relevant pedagogy. Burbanks, Shockley, and Laniles have demonstrated that when we bring in African-centered elements into STEM programming, Black students thrive. In their research, they designed a program for middle school Black boys that centered science African cultural connections as the students engaged in creating STEM innovations and technology. As a result of the programming provided, 75% reported greater knowledge in STEM-related topics, 74% reported more confidence in mathematics and science, and 70% reported a disposition towards choosing a STEM-based career. Afrocentric STEM curriculum reflects that many African cultures embrace collectivism. This resonates with many Black students whose family, community, hold a collectivist worldview. It is not surprising then that the research shows that when Black students see how STEM careers can serve their community, they persist and engage in STEM learning. Coleman and colleagues found that Black and Latinx students desired to serve their communities by solving problems that better humanity while shattering stereotypes about Black and Latinx students. We need these transformative pedagogical models that can guide the creation of STEM lessons from K to 12. This is how we can support successful educational outcomes for Black students as we build our critical consciousness. This means unpacking racial stereotyping and our unconscious bias and the impact it has on the learners under our care. As we go forward, centering these questions is paramount. What does a culturally relevant and responsive STEM education look, sound, and feel like for Black students? What does it look like when Black students are achieving academically, socially, culturally, and politically? Do the Black students in your care have the cultural, emotional, intellectual, and social safety required to learn? Respecting Black learners and their funds of knowledge. Before thinking about designing learning experiences, you need to examine the physical and social environment of your classroom. Are all students co-planning the learning environment with you? Knowing the Black learners in your class is the first step before planning, instruction, and assessment. What might this look like? This means engaging in conversations with them about their interests, passions, and needs throughout the academic year. It is through relationship building that we begin to know the diversity and complexity of Black students. They are not a monolithic group. Centering Black students also means centering their families and communities. Explicitly strive to make home-to-school connections. Recognize that parents, caregivers are a child's first teacher. Inquire into what funds of knowledge Black students and their families are bringing about STEM topics by, for example, sending STEM at home activities. In addition, invite parents and caregivers into your classroom as active contributors. Learn about and in the community where your learners reside. Countering stereotypes. If we know our Black students and their families, we are now in the space to think about instruction. Beginning in kindergarten, when Black students enter the school system, our lessons must actively shatter stereotypes that only white men engage in STEM disciplines. Read alouds for STEM, featuring characters like Ada Twist, scientists, are excellent counter-narratives to inspire all children. Countering stereotypes also requires that we engage Black students in learning experiences where they are inventing, innovating, and inquiring as part of their play-based learning. To support Black children's learning, development, health, and well-being, we need adults who are caring and responsive to their needs. We know academic streaming begins in kindergarten, where many Black children, especially boys, are criminalized. This harmful practice can be disrupted by assuming the brilliance of all Black learners. It also means including African ways of knowing, as much of what Black students engage in throughout their education is Eurocentric curriculum. Community-engaged teaching and learning. The context in which Black students do STEM learning also matters. When we do STEM education, we may have students inquiring scientifically, designing prototypes, and coding to solve challenges. But if this is all we do, this colorblind ideology in our teaching and learning will also be harmful to our students. We must intentionally address systems of oppression and privilege in our lessons. If we do not acknowledge and discuss racism as it exists in society, in the field of STEM, and in the science education Black students receive, all our best efforts at engagement will be futile. Historical and current STEM news issues related to Black communities cannot be ignored. It is vital that we use local issues to contextualize STEM-based learning. This is highly motivating for many Black students. The more we know the community, the more our classrooms can be mirrors. This is how students' questions, ideas, and observations drive STEM learning. Let's look at an example. We know there will be many emerging STEM careers focused on sustainability as we face the numerous challenges brought on by climate change. When asking all students to create solutions through STEM with regards to this issue, are we asking students to analyze it through multiple lenses, such as racial, economic, and class dimensions? If not, we cannot achieve climate justice. We have to be cognizant that a disproportionate number of historically marginalized communities live in places with poor air and water quality, and these populations are most affected by climate change disturbances. How are we connecting to the resilience and ingenuity these communities are showing in tackling these problems? It is important that students' lived experiences and community be assets to a STEM climate justice inquiry. One way to do this is through a community asset mapping, where learners literally map out human, physical, cultural, and linguistic resources that are available in the community where the school is located. By connecting to these resources, this means learning from and with the community about any inquiry. Simply, as educators, we cannot impart views that STEM learning is neutral. Having students interrogate ethical issues that STEM brings is vital. We know there is a bias in AI systems that disadvantage Black people. Do we have students questioning why this is so? When we teach coding, are we exploring who gets to code and what they are coding? Using the STSC strands of the curriculum to activate discussions like this are important. Facial recognition software is criminalizing Black people. The data sets that feed these technologies are biased. The only way to change this is to increase the representation of Black students entering STEM fields because they can actively design solutions that benefit their community. Issues of equity, power, and social justice are central tenets of a STEM learning that empowers all. Learners can investigate what the issue is and design solutions that would solve this problem by applying their STEM knowledge. The engineering design challenge we give in physics units can center science for social good. In sum, as we plan and deliver our justice-centered STEM lessons, consider the following questions. Are students accessing deep learning of systemic issues related to STEM using big ideas? Are students receiving opportunities to learn from each other? Are they working on real-world STEM assignments that create positive change in their schools and communities? Are we as educators incorporating relevant cultural knowledge into STEM instruction using purposeful resources and assessment? Are we as educators co-constructing tasks with students so they allow their multiple social identities and their ways of knowing to be centered as they explore STEM topics? Lastly, connecting to mentorship career life planning goals is also an important part of building positive STEM identity for Black students. There's a drop in aspirations for STEM-related career pathways around age 12 to 13. Informal STEM programs are areas that make a difference for many Black students. Look to make connections to these programs by seeking out community partners. In addition, find STEM experts who reflect the diversity of your students to connect to for learning experiences. As a collective, we educators have the power that can be liberating. If we work hard to eliminate barriers that Black students face in accessing STEM learning, we not only serve our Black learners, but all learners. Cultivating inclusion begins by supporting students most impacted by oppressive systems. The accompanying resource list for K-12 educators is to explore what centering Black joy and Black brilliance can look like in our classrooms. The readings can assist you in reimagining opportunities for Black students and addressing the education debt that is owed to them. These resources can be used as part of a professional learning community. They can assist teachers, teams in identifying knowledge and skills required to promote positive STEM identities for Black students. There are many rich questions for collaborative inquiry that can come from this resource exploration. As we take a critical inquiry stance on how to better serve Black students, let's not forget the deep learning that happens when we connect with our students, parents, caregivers, and community. We need to be open to having our practices challenged so that we and our learners can grow. It is through this collective action that we can really shift the STEM cultures in our schools. I hope this dialogue has inspired you to take a co-learner stance to challenge assumptions made about Black students and STEM learning. The power and potential of Black students is limitless. What will you do to empower them? As educators, we are positioned in a unique way. We can provide transformative experiences. We can leverage our collective resources to close the STEM opportunity gap for Black students. My challenge to you is what breakthroughs will we achieve together?